In this video, I will be going over color swatches and tints, gradients, and patterns. To follow along with the video, you can download the Illustrator files that are located with this video. First, we will be going over how to color your project by changing color swatches and tints. Color swatches are named colors, tints, gradients, and patterns. We will be going over gradients and patterns later in this video. Color swatches can be found in the Swatches panel as well as the Properties panel. To open these panels, go to the Window tab and make sure Swatches is selected as well as Properties. You can download the attached file to follow along with the video. As you can see, we have several different shapes on the artboard. I'm going to first change the color of the middle shape to blue. To do this, using the selection tool, I'm going to select the shape. On the Properties panel, I'm going to select the square next to fill. The Color Swatches panel will open up. You can select an already created swatch, or you can click on the Color Mixer tab to make a custom color. You can use the slide bars or eyedropper tool to select a color. I'm going to select a dark blue. When you change the color, you can also see the color changing on the artboard as well. Once you find a color you like, you'll go back to the Swatches tab, and at the bottom, select New Swatch. You can name your swatch here, so I'm just going to name it Umbrella 1, and make sure Global is selected. When you use a global process color, your artwork will automatically update as you edit the color swatch. Press OK. We are going to use a tint to fill the next two shapes. A tint is a global color with modified intensity. Using the selection tool and by holding shift, we're going to select the next two shapes. Now we're going to go back to the Properties panel and select the fill square. We're going to select the same swatch we used earlier. And now to change the tint or the intensity of the color, we're going to go to the Color Mixer tab. Here you can see we can change the intensity or the tint of the color with the slider, or we can use the eyedropper tool. I'm going to just make the color a little bit lighter. Now I am also going to change the color of the handle real quick by doing the same process. Fill, color swatch, color mixer, and I'm going to make this color pretty light. Because these shapes are tints created from a global process color, it will also update as the color swatch is edited. To show this, we'll go to the Swatches panel. Double-click on the swatch that was used to color our project. Make sure Preview is selected. As we change the color with the sliders, you can see all shapes filled with that global color will change while keeping our tint selections. A color gradient is a blend of two or more colors that is used as a stroke or fill for a shape. There are three types of gradients: linear, radial, and freeform. To apply a default gradient, first use the selection tool and select a shape. On the Properties panel, select the fill color, and we'll change it to one of the three default gradients. And then to bring up the gradient options, we'll click Gradient Options at the bottom. In the panel, you can change the type of gradient as well as the angle of the gradient. Right here is the gradient slider, and at the ends are the color stops. To change the colors, we'll double click on a color stop and choose the color we want. I'm just going to go to the swatches and select a blue swatch. We're also going to do that to the other end, double click, and I'm going to use a yellow swatch. To add another color to the gradient, we'll just take our cursor right below the gradient slider, and you can see a plus appears, and we'll just click to add another color stop. If we want to remove the color stop, we will just make sure the color stop is selected and then press the little trash can. By using the gradient tool, you can also adjust the direction and length of a gradient. First, with your selection tool, we'll select on the shape, and then we're going to select the gradient tool. It could be found in the toolbar or the keyboard shortcut G. So we'll just click Once you click on the tool, the gradient slider will pop up, and it's just the same as the gradient slider found in the gradient panel. You can double click on these color stops to change the colors, as well as adding colors. You can also click and drag these color stops to change how you want your gradient to look. To change the direction of your gradient, you will just need to click and drag. So you can see the color slider will move with the direction of the gradient. To save the gradient in the swatches panel, make sure the gradient is showing up on the swatch, which it's not because we have the color stop selected. So we'll go to the direct selection tool, make sure our shape is selected, and make sure our gradient is our swatch, and we'll just press new swatch. And we could just name it blue, yellow. Patterns can be used as fills for shapes. So we are going to take these circles, make it a pattern, and then use it to fill this circle. So first we're going to select our direct selection tool and select all of the circles we want as our pattern. Now we're going to go to the menu bar and select Object, Pattern, Make. This will bring us into our pattern editing mode. In our pattern editing mode, we can see a preview of the pattern. We can also make edits to those patterns. Our pattern option panel also opened up. In the panel, we can name our patterns. So I'm going to name it circles. You can also change the tile type, changes the arrangement of your tiles. Do it brick by column. You can change the offset. You can also change the width and the height of those columns. You can change how your objects overlap, and then also the amount, like frequency, of your pattern. So our circle's kind of big. I'm gonna make it a little bigger. Once you have your pattern how you want it, you'll just go to the top and press done. So you can see it saved a copy in our swatches panel. To fill the circle, we'll go back to our direct selection tool, select on the circle, and go to our properties panel. As we filled our shapes earlier, we will also click on the fill square and then select on our swatch, our circle swatch. And you can see it filled our circle with that pattern. If you need to edit the pattern at all, you'll just go back to the swatches panel and double click on the swatch.